On what is a chilly night, but a fine night in Sydney as far as playing conditions are concerned, almost ideal. On the cool side, but no rain. And the Auckland side, coached by Mark Graham, and only one change to their program side, and that's on the reserves bench, where Mark Tukey drops out and Matt Spence comes in wearing number 18. The Sharks, to the cheers of the home side, led out by their captain, Andrew Ettingshausen. A game that they have to win, the Sharkies, and no changes to their program side. 1-17 intact, coached, of course, by John Lack. Yes, a game that they must win because they have some tough matches in the last 3 rounds. They've got Newcastle away next week, then they've got Parramatta at home, and then the final game, they're away to Penrith. So 3 hard ones coming up for the Sharks. And they know that this is a game tonight that they simply cannot afford to drop. Martin Lang will be one of the key players in that battle up front with the tough Auckland forwards, the likes of Wagner and Hermanson. Maxine Jadwat is the referee for tonight. Video referee is Eddie Ward.
A very interesting game for the Warriors, I believe, this one, John. Their officials were saying prior to the match, it's one of the few occasions this season they've managed to take almost their best side onto the paddock. A very rare occurrence, just one man dropping out of their squad, but I think they really are going to be up against it here. Sharks at Toyota Park, completely different proposition.
The Sharks running from the northern end, that's the Botany Bay end here at Toyota Park. And immediately it's Terry Hermanson taking it up and is tackled just on his own 20. Joe Wagner. So the big men, the first 2 hit-ups going the way of Hermanson, and then Wagner. Hermanson looks for number 2 and is put to ground in the tackle of Long. Going to kick early in the tackle count. Kick got away by John Simon. David Peachy running back for it. That's what he said a few moments ago. If Auckland are on their mettle tonight and do stagger up a little bit in their defensive line, he's the sort of player could absolutely have a field day, David Peachy. One of the most exciting players in the game, bar none. Ding Treaster spotting just what he thought was going to be a little half break, but then driven back by the Auckland defence. So they're still on their own 20. Martin Lang runs into a tough tackle from Logan Swan in the 11. Hermanson in to help him. Nathan Long. Out to his own 30, but the last is coming up. Lane Stanley's kick just stays in. Just in the field of play as it goes back to Clinton Tupy. And a penalty.
No turtles, Sean. Tackles complete.
Well, just inside the touchline. A little bit of early distress as well for the Sharks. Andrew Ettingshausen reeling away from that last encounter. The tackle on Tupy there. It looked immediately as if he had some damage to his knee. That's not a good sign for the Sharks. Just under a minute into the game, he knew straight away he was in trouble.
He's not the sort of player, Andrew Ettingshausen, to be putting his hand up and saying, I've got to come off in the opening couple of minutes of the game. So that is bad news. And Auckland on the back now of that penalty. Get up to the 30-metre line of the Sharks. So the first real chance for the visitors now to attack. David Myers does well to pop his pass back. Robert Mears getting his way through and then back to Jason Deeth, and Deeth is only a couple of metres out from the line. Mears runs himself, goes to look the little grabber kick through. Joe Wagner couldn't pick it up.
For another ball.
For another ball, rules referee Maxine Jadwat. Sean Ryan, the player who came up with it, very sloppy play the ball. In fact, I'm surprised that the referee didn't give a penalty to one of the 2 sides because of that play the ball. Martin Lang, still on his own 10 metres.
Well, you can't question the Warriors' commitment in the defence in this first couple of minutes of the game. They restricted the Sharks to 20 metres in their first set of 6. They haven't made much more in the first 5 of their second set. However, a penalty will relieve that. That's not what they wanted.
Came straight back through.
Penalty against Nigel Wagner by referee Maxine Jadwat. Yes, they certainly did that. Need that, the Sharks. The defence so far of Auckland has been spot on, but this has been their problem. Auckland, they haven't been able to maintain that intensity for a full 80 minutes. Martin Lang. Just on his own side of halfway is where the big fella will play the ball. Graham works it out onto the short side with Sean Ryan. Graham again. Does well to pop his pass. Back now to David Peachy. Slipped away from one tackle, Peachy. And then on the outside to Matt Rogers. Rogers setting sail for the corner. He'll bring it around and score. And what do we say, Wally Lewis? If you slip off one tackle from David Peachy, well, the result is on the scoreboard. They just laid off him, went for a jersey-pulling tackle, and Matt Rogers finishes off the try.
Yeah, broken field again. They managed to keep the ball alive. Peachy got through some pretty sloppy defence. But you've got to say that that was a very ordinary attempted tackle. Wagner, the man that let it go. The rest will go down in history as yet another disappointment to the Warriors. Matty Rogers, oh, gee, I tell you what, he got pretty close at the end there too. I was a little bit surprised that the referee didn't go for a closer look, Lazo.
Yeah, that's exactly right, mate. I'm just going to say I've been very impressed with the way Auckland have started, and if they are any chance of winning tonight's game, they're going to have to try and intimidate the forward pack, and they were absolutely bashing them down in their own end there for the first couple of sets. But of course, one thing that we all know that Auckland are fairly ordinary at, and that is discipline. And of course, one penalty there on the 20 enabled them to get out of trouble, and then of course 4 tackles later they've scored a try, so Auckland will be very disappointed with that.
Matt Rogers bringing that ball around to make the conversion of his own try that much easier, but it almost came unstuck.
Oh, I tell you what, he's almost got that down at the same time. Very close.
And of course, a lot more responsibility will fall on Matt Rogers now because of the very early departure of ET, so it'll be interesting to see how he handles that.
Yeah, and it was a disappointment to see the way that ET went down on the very first tackle. The Warriors were in possession. He went in and, as John McCoy said, he reeled away, went into the tackle. A bit hard to see how he picked up the injury, but the face told the story, but he reached down. He indicated to the training staff that his leg was the problem.
Just going back to that try, I am surprised, like you, Wally, that the referee didn't go upstairs to Eddie Ward just to check it. Maybe he didn't realise how close to the dead ball line he was. But it was touch and go. However, the points are on the board for the Sharks at 6-0.
John, I'm just saying, why didn't the linesman see that? Why didn't the linesman indicate that maybe we should have a look at it?
Yeah, you're quite right, Lazo. I mean, ones that are that close. Here's Russell Richardson. Just stays in the field of play. The touch judge on this occasion, Steve Betts, having a close look at it. 6-0 in favour of the home side. Clinton Tupi playing at fullback tonight for the Auckland Warriors. Met by Treaster and Dykes just outside the Auckland 20. Probably show what they're really made of now, Auckland. When they had started so well, they'd been putting the pressure on the Sharks and then have a try, you'd have to say, against the run of play, because Auckland had dominated the opening couple of minutes. In fact, there is the possession. The Sharks 71% to Auckland's 29, although much of that possession, of course, has been deep in their own territory.
Well, that's right, John, but as Lazo said, in their own half, the Sharks, 72% of that in their own half, it was all spoiled by one silly penalty. It got them the other end of the football field, which they capitalised on.
Rogers able to run across field with Dykes, then away to Richardson, almost through a half gap. David Miles able to hold on to him. Knew he had to do so as well. Nick Graham Now away to Long. They're starting just to stand back a little bit, Auckland, not coming up as quickly as they did in the opening few exchanges, and that will play right into the Sharks' hands. Lang gets it inside the Warriors' territory by a few metres. Dykes. His kick. Tupi with a lot of work to do here, Clinton Tupi. Dykes chasing that kick through, is able to bring the fullback to ground just out from his own line. Martin Lang getting a spell on the interchange bench for the Sharks. Only 12 metres out from their own line now, Auckland. Joe Vargan to his feet to play the ball. Bobby Beetham on tackle number 5. Looking for a good deep kick here from John Simon. David Peachy in broken play, working with Dykes, then back on the inside to Colin Best. In 14 is Chris Beattie. Takes it to the halfway mark, Beattie. 6-0 it is in favour of the home side. Telstra elects to give it back onto the short side. This time he'll ring it to the open. Run himself a few metres deep, Telstra. Now on the last, and Peachy again, out of dummy half, starting to get his way through and does brilliantly to Stanley, and Stanley gives his pass, then on to Paul Mellor. You picked it while he was in one. The man they have to watch, David Peachy. They've let him run twice, and the result is 2 Sharks tries.
Well, they just can't afford to let him run. The Sharks will be enjoying this. Peachy having an absolute field day at the moment, but what they've got to do is commit themselves. They're just simply standing off, waiting for him to lay a pass on. You see 2 of them eventually stood out of it. Matt Spence and Robert Mears were the guys that failed to go in and put any pressure on him. The outside defence, well, they were just trying to clean up the scraps.
Fairly concerning bit of vision there. Cronulla just making inroads into the Auckland defence, and what can't he do? I mean, there's a fullback taking the ball to the line in 2 hands, popping out the other side, throwing a back flick pass to support, and then out to Mellor, and of course in for a try. And I don't know whether this is the fact that I just don't think that Auckland are going to be able to stop this machine. They just seem to be on fire at Cronulla.
Touch judge Steve Betts coming in from the far side just to make a report to the referee concerning David Miles, and he was just called out for a quick chat by referee Boxing Jadwat. Can be a fiery customer, David Miles, as we've seen on a few occasions during this season. Matt Rogers with the attempted conversion of the Paul Mellor try.
Sorry, John, I'm just saying that it was just it looked as though Auckland came out with all the right intentions, and then a few things didn't go their way, and they've just sort of hung their heads down. I don't understand. You know, it's 6-0. Obviously, they're still in the game, but ominous signs as far as the Auckland Warriors are concerned.
10 points to 0. The Sharks lead Auckland after 11 minutes. Matt Rogers, in fact, with that first try and conversion, bringing up a milestone in his career, 1,000 points for Matt Rogers for the Sharks. What a name the Rogers name has been in the history of this club. His father Steve, and now son Matt. That is a significant milestone. 1,000 points for the one club in your career. Well done, Matt Rogers. So 10 points to 0. It is in favour of the Sharks. The home crowd feeling pretty happy with themselves as Chris Beattie does well to get that pass away. Good work by Beattie. They just, at the last moment, tended to lay off him, and he realised that he hadn't been called held by the referee and was quite entitled to push his pass away. Telstra directing traffic from dummy half. Back to Dykes. And again, Tupy with a fair bit of work to do. Hurries back for it. And close again to putting his foot into touch, Clinton Tupy. Stays just in the field of play. Under pressure, Auckland, as Francis Melly plays it. Still just 10 from their own line. Hermanson. Dean Treister just falling to the ground. He was hit in that tackle, Treister. Someone has just fallen on him, roll that ankle.
The concerning thing, of course, is the referee blew it up straight away. Maybe he saw something that we didn't see, but that's a worrying sign for Cronulla, particularly after their captain, Andrew Ettingshausen, going off the first couple of minutes. They're dropping like flies here at Toyota Park.
Well, they might be in front by 10 points to 0, but that is a worry for them to lose 2 of their key players. Probably lucky that they have got such a fine replacement coming on in Mitch Healy. Dean Treister hobbles from the field. There's Mitch Healy, who's come on as his very experienced replacement.
Wait.
Referee just waiting until Treister has actually cleared the field of play, which he's done so now. Stacey Jones. Perfectly positioned David Peachey. That's probably one of the major differences. When the home side is picked, Tupy has had to make ground every time and they've been able to pin him deep. When Auckland have picked, invariably it's gone straight to David Peachey. Healy going in to be the dummy half. Nick Graham. Just on his own side of halfway is where we play it, Graham. Line break so far. 3-0 in favour of the Sharks. The missed tackles now going heavily against Auckland as well. And to compound that problem for the Warriors, a penalty coming up the way of the Sharks, and this will have them on the attack deep inside Auckland's territory.
John, they're struggling in upper field position as it is. They've got to be able to swallow a little bit of pride and say, well, we concede some ground, but we can't afford to give away 30 or 40 metres by getting rid of it. They have a real problem in conceding penalties in their own territory, but fortunately, they've been let off the hook on this occasion.
Mia's able to come up with possession. That'll be played quickly by Simon, and they bring it out onto the short side. Tupy coming into the line, trying to throw a dummy. It wasn't accepted. Alila Titi. Mears works to the short side to Joe Wagner. Good hard run by Wagner. Just gave the big don't argue to Blaine Stanley. I know that is a mismatch, Blaine Stanley against Joe Wagner, but he put him on his backside very quickly.
Well, John, there's no rules in football that says you can't run at little blokes. They've got to try and play this game smart.
John Simon runs it to the line, rolls it into the in goal. Matt Rogers goes back for it and does brilliantly to give it back to David Peachey. Peachey starts to attack from his own line. Quick play the ball to Rogers. Two-man show at the moment, Rogers and Peachey. The crowd hooting the referee, claiming that Auckland weren't back the 10. Now they'll attempt to go wide. Dykes with the long pass to Colin Best. Miles across in cover. Does brilliantly though to get it back to Dykes. Caught and put to ground in the tackle of Tupy. Quickly wanting to spread it wide once more because Auckland haven't regrouped as yet. Rogers. Back across field. Through Peachey. Over the head of Graham. Picked up by Dykes. Then wide to Russell Richardson. Lost ground in that particular tackle. Now Ryan trying to push the ball and went backwards and the referee says play on. Dykes slipping through a couple of tackles. Had support on the outside and Best couldn't get the pass to him. Last coming up now. Stanley's kick. Across towards Melly. Batted back. Picked up by Auckland, though. John Simon. Tackled on his own 20. And the news from the Cronulla bench is that the Sharks captain, Andrew Ettingshausen, has an injury to his right hamstring and won't be back. Certainly for this evening's proceedings. So Andrew Ettingshausen out of the rest of this match with a hamstring injury. 10-0 though it is in favour of the Sharks.
They're on.
Stacey Jones. For the first time, kicking into open space and will find touch.
And David Peachey just ambling across. He'd measured that one up pretty well. He realised that Jones was just outside the 40-metre line when he kicked it. A great kick from Jones, one that was sorely needed. It's quite some time since the Warriors have spent a bit of the game up this end of the paddock. They need to bring back a little bit of that defence that they had in those first 5 or 6 minutes of play.
Outside foot. Crop, get the outside foot up. Wait, wait.
Scrum win to the Sharks. 12 out from their own line. Richardson just prepared to hit it up and take that first tackle.
Call you
Mick
out,
Ryan
wait.
draws the penalty. Auckland up inside the 10.
I'm sure that Stacey Jones won't be all that happy. He's pulled out one of his best kicks all season, only to have it wasted. The discipline and defence that the Warriors are displaying at the moment is woeful. They're looking for a reason why they're doing it so tough in this game and continually trying to stop tries. It's that they have no discipline and are giving away these ridiculous penalties.
Yes, the easy way when you've had a good kick such as that, the easy way to let the pressure valve off is simply to give away a penalty, and they've done it on a few occasions. Tupy. 12 from his own line. Nigel Wagner. Now spun across field from Jones, looking for support, can't get it away, Stacey Jones. Scott Coxon. 8 metres inside his own half. John Simon.
Yep, he's offside.
The ball bouncing, David Peachey going back for it, but the penalty will go the way of the Sharks.
Inside the 10 metres. Doesn't matter, you came inside the 10. The two wingers, the winger and the centre.
They were in front of the kicker, and as you heard the referee say, in his opinion, therefore, they were in front of the kicker and can't come inside the 10.
Well, you've got to say that he was perhaps in front, centimetres in front, so the penalty definitely was warranted.
Beattie again does well to get that pass away. Second time tonight that Chris Beattie has been able to pop a pass in traffic. 10 from halfway, the Sharks, leading by 10 points to 0 over Auckland. Martin Lang. Healy giving his pass for Andrew Pearce. And a problem for Andrew Pearce. And they've already lost Ettingshausen, they've lost Treaster, and now Andrew Pearce in the arms of the trainer, heading towards the touchline.
I hope the doctor's got bulk billing.
He's having a busy night. Dykes for Richardson. Well read by the defence, though, of Odell Manuel, who came in off the wing to shut that down. David Peachey's kick. Clinton Tupy underneath it. Trying to outstrip the Sharks' defence. Sean Ryan, though, was there to meet him and tackle him. And a penalty.
Just let him go. The tackle was complete. He got to his feet.
Well, the referee was a long way away, and I think Sean Ryan saying to him, well, I didn't hear you called held.
Well, I think it may be safe to assume that he was held at some stage there.
I think his progress had been stopped at some stage.
Bargain to play. 10 short of halfway. This is Logan Swan. Simon for Stacey Jones. He sweated on Jones, though. Robert Mears got away from Nick Graham and gets into open space as Mears looks for Stacey Jones. Jones does well to get his pass. Back around the corner, it'll be a try. Matt Spencer's the one who'll go in and score it. Good work. They needed that, Auckland. They were in desperate trouble. And it took the little men, Simon and then Jones, to make the break. And Matt Spence on the end to give them their first try.
He did it very well. Mears, he's one of the best in the business getting out of the marker dummy half position, and he manages to sweat on it, particularly when there's one slow off the ground. Great support play, good control right at the end from Spence. But it just shows on that occasion that there still is a little bit of fight in the Warriors' defence. Good support play.
Auckland are always going to be a more formidable side when Stacey Jones, Jason Death, of course, and Mears play together. And, of course, just there we saw Mears, Nick Graham not helping matters much by missing the tackle, but on his outside, Stacey Jones, and wonderful hands here by Spence to go over and score what was a very much needed try.
Yeah, it was, Glenn. That was very good skills right at the end from the big fella, because he made up around about 20 to 25 metres to get there and support. There weren't too many of his teammates that showed much in the grunt department to try and get up there. This is going to reduce the deficit, of course. It's going to make it a ball game once again, bring back to just 4 points.
And, of course, we've seen no sign of Dean Treister either, so Cronulla at the moment are playing with 15 men as opposed to Auckland with 17.
Conversion successful by Stacey Jones. Makes it 10 points to 6.
Nice league figure. But they are a very inspirational side, the Warriors. They tend to play emotion, plays a very big part in their game. Interesting to see just how they handle this. They got off to a good start in the game. This may have given them a little bit of extra spark.
Completion rates. Oh, perfect completion set by Auckland, and the Sharks not far behind them with 11 out of 12.
Well, that's the only reason they can bring out the cane from the headmaster there. Twice as many missed tackles.
But as Glenn Lazarus said, the problem really for the Sharks is the injury toll that they have. With Ettingshausen gone for the night, Dean Treister in trouble with an ankle injury, Andrew Pearce hobbling from the field and sitting at the moment on the sideline. So they've only, at the moment, got the one interchange player left, David Peachy.
8 men in the chasing team. The last time they put a kick in, they had 3.
And the news coming through from the Cronulla room is that Dean Treister won't be back either tonight. That left ankle injury is going to keep him out. So 2 of their key players, Andrew Ettingshausen and Dean Treister, both out of the game for the rest of the evening. And now, the ball being lost by Martin Lang.
Let him go, Mitch.
Scott Coxon diving on the loose ball. So they start this tackle count up on the 20. John Simon gets it away to Mears. Then on to big Terry Hermanson. Mears into dummy half, quickly gives it away to Wagner. He virtually had to come off a standing start, Joe Wagner. He's at his damaging best when he can run from deep. Simon runs it to the line, shoots his pass to Logan Swan. Only 2 metres out from scoring. from Simon, then to Jones. Jones again runs it to the line to pick up Beetham. Mitch Healy was waiting for him, though, knowing where the pass was heading to. Jones again, out onto the short side. Miles held on to and driven back a couple of metres. Last coming up now for the Warriors. To Stacey Jones. Grubbers it into the in goal. Picked up there by Matt Rogers, who does brilliantly to get it back into the field of play and then set sail. Here goes Rogers. He's being chased from the deep, though. Still keeping the ball alive. It's gone behind Blaine Stanley and knocked on initially. Knock on against the Sharks. But great work by Rogers. It's an exciting play.
Yeah, it was a terrific kick as well. Stacey Jones dropped it in. The big problem for Auckland was that there wasn't too much communication. Everyone was expecting the wide kick. But the broken field running of the Sharks, that's what canes every team that they play against. There's probably an opportunity had Rogers gone to the far side of the field. Sitting in the grandstand now, E.T. Sure that he'd rather be out in the middle, a little bit less painful there.
It's not too often that E.T. gets to sample the wares in the corporate boxes here at Toyota Park.
And I think the pate and the Chardonnay will be out just yet.
10 points to 6. Now that try has given Auckland a sniff, and they know that with the injury toll for the Sharks, they're certainly well and truly into this game now. Jones. His pass for Scott Coxon. That's the 20-metre line of the Sharks in shot. Jones to the line, shows it. Defence, though, was sweating on him. Now the last. Simon. The kick out towards the winger Best and takes it. In goal. A little bit of an altercation between Colin Best and David Miles, but they'll bring it up to the 20 for the restart. Auckland fairly slow to get back. In fact, they weren't back on side, and that's the reason that the crowd are hooting, wanting a penalty from the referee. Not forthcoming. Ryan. Almost to halfway, Sean Ryan. Back onto the short side they come and make an easy 10 metres. Andrew Pearce it was, who's just come back off the bench, having had treatment for that injury, so that's good news for the Sharks. Best getting down the short side, loses the ball into the clutches of John Simon.
John, I've got to be complimentary to Adel Manuel on the far wing for the Warriors. He's been faced with a couple of difficult opportunities. Just after we give a wrap to one of the Warriors players, their skipper makes a mess of a play the ball. We've seen one or two of those from the Sharks that have gone unpunished, but this one, I don't think that you could let that one go. Lucky it hit his foot, may have gone over the dead ball line. But Manuel has done extremely well. He's marking one of the quickest plays in the game in Best. He's using slide defence on him and handling him very efficiently.
That far side prop settled.
Laying Long just having a breather at the moment for the Sharks. Here's Peachy. This time John Simon just watches him like a hawk. Nick Graham. Healy gives it infield to Stanley, and then a long pass to Dykes and a short pass. Just picking up Stevens, who takes it inside the 20. Beattie runs it hard at the line, Chris Beattie. 10 metres out from the Auckland line, quick play the ball. Mitch Healy goes himself and almost gets through. Beattie in the other custom roll of dummy half. Rolled into the in goal. Clinton Toopi there for it and held in goal. Goal line dropout coming up by Auckland. Good pressure by the Sharks.
And that's only going to climb if they continue to place intelligent grubber kicks in behind the line. I know that the Warriors are struggling to keep up with the pace of the game. Perfectly weighted in behind. He's been pretty faultless all night, Clinton Tupy, so far.
I think he's been playing very well, Wally. I think one of the things you look for, or a couple of things you look for in a fullback, is the way they attack the football when it's on the ground and the way they bring the ball back, and he's done both of those things very well. I think the winger, Francis Melly, got in his road there. I think he may have had an opportunity to get the ball out, but
You've got to bring the ball
a bit of an error there, a rare error from the Cronulla Sharks.
And that's a huge bonus, that one, John.
Certainly is for Auckland against the attacking side for not lifting the ball up to play it.
I think the referee, Maxine Jadwat, may have been reminded on that one. Of course, just 60 seconds ago or so that we saw a penalty going against John Simon.
Chris Beattie, the player penalised. You're just putting the ball on the ground, putting his hand on the ball to push himself up to his feet. Of course, what you have to do is pick the ball up with you. And if you don't, it's a penalty. So quite rightly so. The try scorer, Matt Spence for Auckland. The former West Magpie. Up the short side they go. Stacey Jones getting his way through and gets to 10 metres out from the line, Jones. Now a long pass to Clinton Tupy. Tupy sees the line in front of him, can't get his way through. Held on to only a metre short. Now to Simon. Then it goes to Spence looking for try number 2. Last tackle on its way now for the Warriors. Simon faded to kick. Got it back then to David Peachey, who's held on to in the field of play.
Back up. Wait there, no,
Allowed to play the ball. He had been tackled just in the field of play, even though Auckland then tried to push him back in goal. The initial tackle was in the field of play, and that's what the referee ruled. Sean Ryan.
He's already off.
Just 12 from their own line. Nick Graham. The Sharks hard-working lock forward. Tackled on number 5, but they haven't made much territory, and they'll look now for a deep kick. Driving it out towards Francis Melly's wing, but it's Tupy, the fullback, who's back for it. And put to ground. Been a problem area for the Warriors right through this season. In fact, for a number of seasons, has been the fullback. Glenn Lazarus and Wally Lewis have both said he's having a good game tonight. Got plenty of work to do, Clinton Tupy, but he has done it pretty well. Spence. Inside the Sharks' territory by a few metres. Blindside. Dropped to the ground by Nigel Wagner. Picked up quickly by the Sharks. No one's been tackled as yet. Play on, says the referee.
0 tackle.
That's the 0 tackle.
Well, if the Warriors wonder why they're struggling in this game, they're getting an opportunity to work themselves into a good field position, but when they get it, they're absolutely putting the Cardinals in the pressure that they put themselves under.
Nathan Long getting it back to Healy. Then given away to Graham. Looking to get on the outside of them, Graham then slips a pass for Russell Richardson. Odell Manuel read it again well, coming in off the wing to shut that down. Stanley. On to Beattie, playing well, Chris Beattie, and gives it back to Stanley. He's got Rogers on his inside, beautiful pass to Healy. Healy is caught by Beatham in desperation, throws a pass, picked up though by Stacey Jones, and Jones turns defence into attack and brings it outside his own 20.
Oh, the Warriors are off the hook. To call that one a speculator would be, I suppose, an injustice to it. Great support play. It was just a whooshka over the top. May have been better advised to drop the ball up to Adam Dykes, but if someone was under it, they were a chance, but it was a big chance.
They've also got to give a rap to the Auckland defence too. I think that they just kept turning up, and Monty Beetham, I think, in the end was the one that got Mitch Hurley, and you know, I just feel that they're obviously thinking they're in this game because they're certainly showing some signs of desperation.
Yeah, it was desperation by Monty Beetham. You probably wouldn't expect a second rower to be able to pull down such a quick little player as Mitch Healy, that close to the line, but he did well. A tackle that had to be made. Here's Colin Best playing it. Now the danger man, David Peachy, again being allowed to run. Picks up Adam Dykes, coming back into broken play. Mears shuts it down. The two fullbacks having excellent games tonight, David Peachy and Clinton Tupy. Graham shows it then, saw a half gap and almost got through it. He got that red head through it, Nick Graham, but there was no one in support on the outside for him to push it past to. Beattie. Again pops that pass, gets it out to Long, then to Lang. You know what Martin Lang will do. He won't be mucking around looking to unload. He'll just go forward. This is the last. Long pass out to Matt Rogers. Puts it back on the inside. Hoping that Mellor can get a penalty off him.
10 metres. You're marginally in front.
Well, he penalised Auckland for the same thing a few moments ago, being in front of the kicker, just marginally in front. So one thing about referee Moxie Jadwat, he is being consistent in that regard.
Well, marginally in front. I think that's Nathan Long was around about 8 or 9 metres in front. But Lazo said before about the aggression of Clinton Tupy from fullback attacking the ball. That wasn't an easy option for him to take their dive at the ball when it could have been put on the toe. Developed into a pretty interesting battle here. A couple of minutes to go in the first half. A try here to Auckland could really make Sharks officials a little bit nervous.
Ali Lauatiti with a full head of steam. Gets to 30 from the line, and now Mears. And he's able to switch it back to John Simon. Simon almost through. Held on to 10 metres out. Mears races in to be the dummy half. Away to Stacey Jones. Floats it to David Miles. Grabbed by Russell Richardson and pushed back. Still inside the 20. Back it comes through Jones to Ali Lauatiti. He's a big man. Was that touch by the Sharks? Not according to the referee. It's play on. Flipped out the back door by Cliff Beverley, but it went forward. Pass from Beverley travelling forward.
Plenty of talent involved in the flick. If it went forward, it wasn't far. The Sharks' defence regrouped well enough to be able to get there. They're showing that they've got enough ability on the football field, John, to be able to do it from there, to be able to come up with a victory. But they've just got to make sure that they've got enough inside support to be able to give to their defenders. That's the only area of the football field where they're failing to match the Sharks at the moment.
Inside the last minute of the first half. The Sharks in front by 10-6. They have got away to lead by 10 points to 0. They've had their problems, having lost both Andrew Ettingshausen and Dean Treaster with injuries. Ankle injury to Treaster, hamstring injury to Ettingshausen. Neither will be back for the evening. Here's Nathan Long.
Important that they managed to cover for a chip play in here as well. The Sharks won't hesitate to use that.
Healy thought he saw a gap. That gap got closed very quickly in the form of Ali Lauatiti. Matt Rogers with the kick and chase. The Clinton Tupy back into his in goal. A wall of Cronulla jerseys coming down to meet him. Takes the tackle, though, of Adam Dykes. Manuel. Andrew Ettingshausen with that hamstring injury well iced, heading to the dressing room to hear what Coach John Lang has to say at half-time. As the hooter goes for the half-time break here at Toyota Park. A game that the Sharks know that they have to win, but Auckland putting it to them in the first half when it looked as though the Sharks might be able to get away when they raced to a 10 points to 0 lead. But credit to Auckland, they've come back, and at half-time, the Sharks in front of Auckland by 10 points to 6. Back shortly for the second half.
updating Fox Sports News, and Pete Sampras has ended Pat Rafter's dream of a first Wimbledon title. Sampras defeated Rafter in 4 sets to claim his 7th All-England club crown. The win also gave the American the record for the greatest number of Grand Slam titles, surpassing Australian Roy Emerson's 12. Robert Allenby has defeated Zimbabwe's Nick Price in a playoff to capture the Western Open in Chicago. It took just 1 win on the PGA Tour. And Australia's Troy Corser has won the 2nd race of the World Superbikes at Laguna in the United States. All the details of these stories and more in Fox Sports News at 6:30.
They were known as the Invincibles, the 1992 Kangaroo side, the first Australian team to tour Great Britain and France and remain undefeated. Now these players and the team they served have been immortalised in magnificent limited edition displays. Call 1-800-151-201 now, and for $750 plus $35 postage and handling, we'll send you one of these autographed fully framed jerseys that will be treasured for a lifetime.
£10-6 it is in favour of the Sharks over Auckland at half-time.
And I think the Warriors, John, would be very happy to see a 4-point deficit, 60% of possession going to the Sharks, so they'd be very happy with that. And they've spent plenty of the game in their own territory. The completion rate dropped off a little bit at the end for Auckland. The Sharks threw away a little bit. It was almost perfect, 3/4 way through it. Missed tackles, I think, would be the major concern for the Warriors, because they've just about done everything else right. At one stage, they looked like they were down and out, gone for the night.
Yeah, I think they need a huge rep there. As you said, Wally, 10 minutes into it, it looked like shut up shop, but they were able to take control of the game and actually put a few sets together and are right back in this game.
The Sharks, having lost early on their captain Andrew Ettingshausen and also Dean Treaster with injury. Ettingshausen with a hamstring, Treaster with an ankle. From the Auckland camp, Jason Deith didn't have all that much to do in the first half. Got a knock and was suffering from concussion, but he has come out for the second half. Not into the starting side, but he's just been doing with the doctor and the trainer for Auckland some warm-up exercises along the sideline, so you would assume that he will be back for Auckland at some stage during the second half. Mitch Healy.
That's a far better start to this second half. The first set of 6 for the Sharks, they managed to make 20 metres. So far, they've made almost 60.
Hard bullying run by Sean Ryan. Metres gained in the first half. Chris Beattie's impressed me. I think he's played well tonight, Beattie, and got a couple of good passes away. Odell Manuel going back to dive on this ball on his own 20.
I think he's from the Ipswich club up there in Brisbane,
he
actually.
Is.
And I must admit, I've seen him play a few times, and he's certainly got a future in this game.
Manuel. Hard runner, Odell Manuel. Very hard to stop when he does get up a good head of steam. Turned back on the inside by Terry Hermanson for Joe Wagner, who slips his pass away to Tupi. Simon. Dropping back forward is Adam Dykes. Just isolated when he took that pass. Easy pickings for Stacey Jones to make the tackle.
And in mentioning the easy pickings, John, I think it was a good idea to be able to shift the ball away from Peachy in the kicking game. They know that it's going to be far easier to tackle somebody else rather than Peachy's escapades around the paddock.
Here is that man, David Peachy. Just jinking and probing. Healy looking for a runner. That runner is Nathan Long. Does well to unload his pass. Then back to Nick Graham. Graham's pass is taken out of the clutches of Russell Richardson, and the referee rules it was 1-on-1, and Odell Manuel starts to run. The Sharks had laid off him a little bit. They were looking at the referee thinking that perhaps they should have got a penalty. It wasn't forthcoming. Stacey Jones gets to 25 metres out from the line. Now to Hermanson on the short side, then to Jason Deith back into the action for Auckland. Beetham. Straight and hard goes Monty Beetham. ran straight at Mitch Healy. With the aid of Lang, he's put to ground. Stacey Jones shows it, goes himself, and will go through and score. Well, he is the danger
Just
man.
check he hasn't bounced that, mate. Just check the grounding.
He is the danger man, Stacey Jones, as is David Peachey for the Sharks. Stacey Jones has to be watched just with an eagle eye the whole time. They laid off him for a moment and he's gone through to score, but did he get it down?
No problems with that, I don't think. But the Sharks having the same sort of problem the Warriors did, standing off the man, making sure that there was no problem in getting it down. You have to say that there was downward pressure there at some stage. There seems to be some doubt in the mind of the video touch judge or the video referee. We've got no problem with that one.
Well, we said at the start of the game that Cronulla had a fairly ordinary run home, and they obviously needed to win here tonight. And I dare say at half-time, Coach John Lang would have said that really this really does mean that season's on the line. We're in front by a couple. We've got a couple of blokes injured. We're doing it tough. I don't think that's what he would like to have seen some 3 or 4 minutes into the game. So very good start for the Auckland Warriors, but sure. Oh, no try. Well, that's unbelievable.
No try. Eddie Ward is the video referee tonight.
Yes, I'd have a drink of water too, Johnny Lang. Oh, yeah, that's just absolutely amazing.
We saw a controversial try last night in the Parramatta-Newcastle game given by referee Graham West tonight. One that I think has stunned everybody.
John, I think the best thing that we can say at the moment is we've got to go and check the wiring and make sure that they're not pushing the wrong buttons in these boxes. I dead set reckon he's pushed the wrong button. He's the only one to be able to answer it. That's as ridiculous as the one on Friday night.
Well, he's obviously ruled Eddie Ward that he doesn't believe he had control of it when it hit the ground.
Oh, it's just a sympathy vote. Well,
He's planted the ball, mate. He planted it. Yeah, if he plants it, I've got no option but to penalise him.
well, there's Jadwatt's explanation of what's going on. The ball was actually planted down before the player got to his feet to play the ball. I think the Sharks, they're not arguing too much at the moment because they probably feel that they've got out of jail. Well, I honestly believe that it's tough for Sean Ryan to get to his feet there when he had 2 Warriors players laying all over him.
So it remains at 10 points to 6. Hermanson storming up towards the 10-metre mark of the Sharks. They'll feel hardly done by Auckland, having had that try to Stacey Jones disallowed. They have to put that out of their minds, though, and get on with business. And Jones gives it on to John Simon. Has the ball knocked out of his grasp, picked up immediately by Nick Graham. Then to Sean Ryan. Ryan getting into open spaces, is chased by Mears, and with the aid of Nigel Wagner, he's pulled the ground. Martin Lang got through the first line, actually turned looking for a runner coming off him. There was no one there supporting him. Probably not thinking it was worthwhile to go with Marty Lang, that he wasn't going to throw a pass anyway, but on that occasion he could have. Certainly a major turning point in this game, and if the Sharks go on and win tonight and keeps their season alive, they can thank Eddie Ward, the video referee, for having done so. Here's David Peachey. Peachey looking for a runner. Now turns it back on the inside for Colin Best. Best gets through, gets towards 2B, has the ball, and he had players on both sides of him and couldn't get the pass away.
Yeah, well, Lazo was in. Congratulations to Quinton Tupy again. He's had a wonderful game. Terrific work to be able to get back. I thought that the Colin Best was gone. He was under the post. Gee, tell you what, this bloke's booked himself a Auckland Warriors jersey for a couple of years.
Problems again, though, for the Sharks. Mitch Healy looks to have an ankle injury and is coming to the sideline. Now starting to stretch out a little bit, but the trainer taking Mitch Healy off the field. Jason Deep is tackled. Glenn Lazarus, let me ask you, with the problems they've already got, the Sharks, there is Mitch Healy limping towards the bench. They've already lost Ettingshausen. They've lost Treaster. They've now lost Healy. What does it do for their interchange?
Well, it obviously means that they'll be changed a lot more in succession. Obviously, you know, we all like to think that we can play 80 minutes, but I mean, the game today just doesn't allow us to do that as far as the way the interchange rule is at the moment. But I think having two less players to call upon is certainly a great disadvantage. And I think if Auckland are in this game in the last 10 or 15 minutes, that'll certainly tell on the Cronulla side.
They might have three now that Healy's gone to the bench.
Too long.
Penalty goes against Auckland, holding down in the play the ball against Nigel Wagner.
Well, some of these penalties that the Warriors are giving away are crazy. Wagner clearly stepping forward and not allowing one of the Sharks players to get to his feet to play the ball. They're getting themselves into great field position and they're wasting the opportunity. But you've got to remain in admiration as a great kick picks up around about 45 metres for the Sharks. Is it the way that they're still prepared to spread the ball in difficult situations, and that's making it very difficult for the Warriors' defence.
Another hard run by Beattie. Gets it to 35 out from the Auckland line. Jason Stevens. Stanley gives it away to Dykes, and then on to Mellor, getting into a half gap. Paul Mellor. Tackle made on him by David Miles. Dykes, overhead pass, almost picked up out there by Francis Melly, but it goes to Rogers. Rogers
Wonderful stuff.
Well, Melly, he'd almost got away to start with. He's coming back on side and the pass goes straight into his clutches.
Well, you could see him go through and going, oh no, I've made a huge blue here. I should have stayed with my winger. I'm going to make up. Thanks, Matt. You've given it straight to me. Sorry, boys. Now we're back in business.
I've seen it all now. Miles gets it back to halfway for the Warriors.
Simon. Mitch Healy on the sideline trying to work that injury out. And Martin Lang about to come back into the fray as well. David Peachy tried to get around Odell Manuel. Just caught him by the jersey, but there's another problem. Nathan Long is down.
Oh, they're all over the place, and he's struggling to get back to his feet. With heavy concussion there.
Mellor working with Rogers. Got inside the tackle of Melly this time. Still going, Matt Rogers. Coming back infield. Looking for a runner coming straight. Tackle made on him by Ali Lauatini. Martin Lang. Lang up the middle. Long goes to the bench. Well, he looked as if he was heavily concussed the way he was coming from the field, but in fact it looks as though it's going to be a leg injury. He might have got hit to the leg and a knock to the head as well, because he certainly looked groggy as he was leaving the field initially, Wally.
Oh, I think he's picked up a few of them. But the Sharks electing to keep the ball in the field of play at the moment. I thought that they may have adjusted their kicking game a little to try and make sure they put the ball over the sideline to give their players just a little bit of a rest, try and break down the play a little bit more with their two-men interchanges they've got at the moment. They're going to need a little bit of a spell. Possession, well, it's still heavily in their favour. But if the pace of this game remains the way it is, it's only going to count on the home sides.
No change to the half-time score. 10-6 it is in favour of the Sharks. But the disallowed try to Auckland to Stacey Jones underneath the post. Ruled not to have grounded the ball correctly by Eddie Ward will be talked about for some time to come. Matt Rogers working with David Peachy. In space, Peachy. Best. The left winger from the Sharks. Looking to go through the middle of the ruck. Stacey Jones there to stop him.
Just watching the Cronulla side getting back onside after that massive kick by John Simon. There's certainly a few of them walking, feeling the pinch.
Beattie drives it forward for the Sharks and makes 6 or 7 metres. 12 on their own side of halfway. The Sharks leading by 10-6. Martin Lang.
Sorry, John, there's a little bit more aggression in the Warriors' defence at the moment. Sharks, quite sensible. They've got to play the game wide.
Played back by Mellor. Now to Dykes. Kicking out towards Odell Manuel's wing, but Tupi, the fullback, across to take it on the full. 10 from halfway. Manuel playing the ball to Mears. Looks for a runner coming onto the short side. David Miles. Met front on in the tackle of Pearce. Lauatiti. Got through the first line, Ellie Lauatiti. Back to Stacey Jones. Jones taken to ground in a try-saving tackle by David Peachey. Had to be made. He was the last line of defence. Roll downfield for Colin Best. He's in the in goal.
He's made the field of play. Play one. Back up.
Got the ball back into the field of play, rules the referee, and was able to play out, and now Peachey almost got through the line. Nick Graham. Graham able to give his pass to Mellor running into space. Back to halfway. Auckland slow to regroup. Peachey picks up the pass on the bounce. Richardson goes back on the inside of Peachey. Beats the first tackle. Can't beat the second of Logan Swan.
You go centre. You go centre.
Dykes takes it to the line, Adam Dykes. Wasn't quite sure what to do with it when he got there, though, when Lauatiti makes the tackle. Last coming up. Tupy under pressure and shoots it, and it'll go straight into the clutches of Beattie, and he's tackled by Tupy, but only 5 from the line. Quick play the ball. Peachey, they must score. Shut down, though, and driven into the deck. Miles coming through to make the tackle on him. He looks certain to score. Blaine Stanley. This ball knocked down by Simon. And knocked on by Stacey Jones. It'll be a scrum feed to Cronulla, 10 out from the line.
Well, he chanced his arm on that occasion. Stacey Jones, they were hopelessly outnumbered on the short side. It was around about 5 or 6 to 3. He decided that he was going to have a run. You can just see all of their players. The first mistake the Tupis made all evening long, and it looked like that it was going to be very costly. I think Peachey made a shocking mistake running from dummy half there. It was just a matter of who was going to get his name in tomorrow morning's paper for scoring the try. He elected not to throw it straight away. The speed of the game taking its toll on a lot of their players. You'd expect it would be more on the Cronulla side, but now they've got the scrum just 10 metres out. Perhaps they've got a little bit more wind in their sail.
Peachey's the first receiver. Looking for a runner coming straight. Picked up by Simon, but knocked on.
Ladies and gentlemen, still on board the Penrith Park. The Panthers 30, the Dragons 0.
The errors at one stage were very heavily against Auckland. Now evened up somewhat, 10-9. And the missed tackles, and still a lot more missed tackles by Auckland, 25 to 14. Another scrum win, of course, to the Sharks, and Peachey. Rogers in centre field. Matt Rogers gets his way through, still going. Caught by Stacey Jones, 10 out. And a penalty. Will there be a sin binning?
Calm down or you're going to the bin. Calm down or you're going to the bin. You're the second man in, release nice and quick.
Well, it's strange to hear Moxie and Jadwat say calm down. I didn't see any real problem with Terry Hermanson simply trying to slow the play down. Yeah. Rogers electing to take the shot at goal to extend the lead to a converted try. But although that there may be some Warriors fans disappointed to see that one, Glenn, I don't think that he had too many other options. They were gone for all money, I think, at that stage. He came in, probably decided he'll give away the 2 to save 6.
Well, I'm a great believer in doing things that the opposition doesn't want you to do, and I dare say Auckland didn't want Auckland to put a quick tap on and try and go for the 6 points. I think that Auckland will be very relieved that Matty Rogers is lining up the kick. They're still only 6 points behind. I feel that they think that that's a bonus. They'll come down, they'll have Cronulla pinned down in their own end, and they'll just start all over again. So I think that they'd be very happy that Matty Rogers is taking his kick for goal.
I think they'd also be happy that they didn't have Terry Hermanson in the sin bin for a professional foul. Matt Rogers' kick is successful. 12-6 it is in favour of the home side, the Sharks. A converted try in front. But But remembering, of course, that they're in trouble as far as their interchange is concerned, with Long still on the field, on the bench rather, receiving attention, and Telstra and Ettingshausen gone for the night.
In fact, he's being heavily strapped. His left thigh is being heavily strapped at the moment, so he's obviously coming back on, but how fit will he be?
Nathan Long, that is, that Glenn Nasser was talking about, just that strapping done as we speak. Martin Lang brings it back off his own line, reaches his own 20. Beattie. Another hard run by Chris Beattie. Makes 12 metres. Stevens just drops the shoulder down into the defence of Scott Coxon. Nick Graham. Completion rates just dropped off a little bit in the second half. They were close to 100% midway through the first half.
Knock on by Auckland, first one by Auckland, second one by Sharks. They're Cronulla feeding loose. Touched an Auckland hand on the way back. Touched an Auckland hand.
Well, the Auckland players, they're objecting heavily. Logan Swan believing that there was no contact made, no deliberate attempt made to try and knock the ball down, and that's where there's a real grey area in that rule. However, the referee saw
That's a good call, Luke.
From the way of the touch judges. You can just see
Adam Dykes kicks on the first tackle for Colin Best. Will he get the bounce? He won't. Touch judge comes up. The touch line comes up too early for him.
Well, and one of the Sharks players blowing up in the background saying, hey, the ball never landed on the grass outside. He made contact while he was still in mid-air. Well, I think he'd trying to stretch it a bit there. Only made contact once. And he was only 2 metres over the sideline when he kicked it back in. Oh, Pinocchio wouldn't get a job here.
Stay in lock.
Still, after what's happened this weekend, had he been able to score from it and it went to the video referee, who knows what could have been ruled. 12-6. The Sharks in front in a game that's just so crucial to them. Here's Matt Spence for Auckland.
Play on!
Play on as Robert Mears picks up 5 metres. Right on halfway. Joe Wagner plays it on the 5th. And this kick will go into touch. Stacey Jones just knocked to ground after he kicked the ball. Immediately back to his feet.
It was a good charge, good pressure put on him by Sean Ryan. Left him not much wind in the lungs for a while, but he knows that he's got his team a little bit of a short break. What it does, though, is offer the Sharks an opportunity to attack from this area of the football field. Strange to see David Peachy standing on the blind side wing.
Take the weight off. Auckland, weight off.
In fact, now he just goes in one. Still standing on the blind side, but they elect to run it to the open through Colin Best. Nick Graham. Beattie just drops his shoulder into Monty Beetham as he takes it up to his own 40. Andrew Pearce. Martin Lang on the sideline, about to come back into the fray. This is Ryan. That's 5 tackles gone for the Sharks. Call for by Dykes. They elect to run it on the last to Stanley, but he'll put in the kick. Tupy at fullback for Auckland. Gets it on the first bounce. Mellor makes the tackle.
This is where the Warriors have got to be able to construct a game a little bit, John. They've got to make sure that they can grind their way out of this area of the field without making too many mistakes, or any mistakes at all. They've got to try and ensure that they just get out of there safely, put a good kick and chase game in, and then put pressure on the Sharks.
Tough run by Joe Wagner. Couldn't get his pass away, though. He was hoping to be able to slip that pass around the corner to Malley, but here's a mistake.
To death, Wally. Kiss of death. And that's obviously been a big problem with theirs. We often say that Auckland suffer a little bit of discipline, and as you see here, they just needed to complete this set, and just a basic drop ball. It looked as though he was saying, well, it wasn't my football, but as we all know, as we're told as kids, always expect the football. And again, now they've put themselves under a heap of pressure. They're on their, their own 40-metre line, and Cronulla are in attack.
Dykes throws a dummy and then picks it up himself, and away he goes down the touchline, gives his pass back on the outside to Colin Best, and he'll score.
And that's a move that you're going to get the purists arguing over, John. He threw the ball forward. He passed the ball forward, caught it himself. The purists say that that's a deliberate forward pass. Even though he catches it, he still transferred the ball in front of his own body. Well, it's gone backwards, so they can't argue over that. Great to see scrum plays put on. A long time since we've seen them running the ball into holes. Great support play, and you're not going to catch that play from 5 yards out. All came, though, Glenn, from one simple error.
Yeah, exactly right. We just touched on it before, and he put this little move on a fair bit. I'm just very impressed with Scott Coxon. I think he was in the scrum, and he's nearly got young Dykes there, so showed a great turn of speed, but I think that that may well have sealed Auckland's fate. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think Cronulla deserve a huge rap with only 15 players to choose from. They've worn the pressure from the Auckland side, and one simple error from the Auckland side has seen Cronulla go for a try, and now with the lead at 10 points, he would be growing in confidence.
Kick unsuccessful. Just chipping away at the end by Matt Rogers. Let's watch this try again. And Dykes just pops the pass up, did throw it backwards, then regathers it. Of course, in olden days of rugby league, as we see Dykes then run and give his pass away to Colin Best. In the very early days of rugby league, it was one of the favourite ploys of one of the greats of the game, the immortal Delhi Messenger, where he used to run, actually throw a pass over a defender's head, run through and catch it. And the laws were changed to outlaw him being able to do so.
Well, that's a brave play from the Warriors, I think you've got to say. There's still 15 and a half minutes left in the game. They've decided to try a short kickoff. It worked very well. They had three blokes, or three guys that were prepared to make the chase. In the end, they both missed it, and it was Russell Richardson that came up with a knock-on.
16-6 it is in favour of the Sharks. Peachy goes in, though, and pinches possession for them.
Well, I'd like to see that again.
Dykes again. He was the man who set up the last try, and he almost sneaks through the defensive line this time. David Miles made the despairing tackle on him. Away across field from Stevens to Stanley, and then to Ryan. Sean Ryan into open spaces. On the inside to Colin Best. Best is caught this time. Gets his pass back on the inside, and hammered and put to ground is Healy. Then away through Stanley. Quickly the pass coming across the line to Lang. He's 5 metres out. They've got Auckland on the back foot. Dykes, his pass has gone to ground and knocked off.
Well, the crowd not enjoying that too much, but I'll tell you what, I had to agree, I think, for a while. The replay will tell us not whether I was wrong or whether there was actually two men that stripped the ball out in a tackle. No, there wasn't. Peachy took it just prior to a second man coming into the tackle, so the right call from referee Maxine Jadwat. It's a real let-off, though, for the Warriors.
Just inside their own 20, the Warriors. Needing to be the side that scores next. Clinton Tupy. Tackled on his 20. Beetham playing it.
Mears goes from dummy half. Looking to get under the first attempted tackle by Beattie. He did well, Beattie, to hold on to him. Jones, Lauatiti, Nigel Wagner. Melly coming back on his inside. Pushed away from Mitch Healy. Couldn't get away from Sean Ryan. On the last. Simon's kick, trying to put it away from David Peachey. Peachey does well, though. Knew that Miles was coming down, so too was Deeth. His ground, didn't take his eyes off that bouncing ball, David Peachey. Coming from deep. The defence, though, waiting for him. Graham. Stanley. Loses the ball, Blaine Stanley. Picked up by John Simon. 0 tackle. 25 metres out from the Sharks line. Try here to Auckland and make it interesting. Lauatiti. Strong player and does well to get it back to Matt Spence, who scored the try for Auckland in the first half. Simon for Nigel Wagner running at the line. Only a half a metre short. Simon. Jones. Clinton Tupou. 8 metres out. Jones puts the little grubber kick through. Monty Beetham going for us. The Sharks got to it first. Over the dead ball line and a goal line dropout coming up for the home side.
Well, they're getting towards the end of the game and probably stringing their best attack for the game. Plenty of support play every time that the carrier takes it forward. Monty Beetham really standing up to be counted this evening. It's a game I think Johnny Lang won't mind this one. I think his team's still quite comfortably in front. Didn't feel very confident about winning the game, but leading into the real pressure games towards the semi-finals, he'd feel very happy that his team got a real solid work in.
Well, they've had to do it the hard way with the players. They've virtually, for all but a couple of minutes of the game, they've had 2 and at most times 3 players unavailable. So they've had to tough it out. And they're not home yet, even though they're leading by 10 at the moment. Mears. Almost got through Robert Mears. He's 8 metres from the line. Tupou gives his pass to Hermanson. Hermanson drew it back for Tupou. Did brilliantly to pick that ball up, Clinton Tupou. Away from Jones, then to Lauatiti. Ali Lauatiti will go in and score. Lauatiti scores next to the post. 16-10, kick to come.
Well, sustained pressure from the Warriors, causing real problems in the Sharks' defence. Good offload from Terry Hermanson. Their big players were needed to cause a little bit of damage. Jones once again involved with some pretty ordinary defence. Martin Lang got caught out. And right at the end, David Peachey dropping to the ground, probably in disbelief as much as anything else. The hint of a knock-on, I thought that there may have been there. The referee a lot closer.
This try coming on the back of a repeat set. Something that Auckland haven't done too well all night is their last tackle option. This time they put a little kick in. Cronulla were forced to kick it dead or push it over the dead ball line. They got a repeat set, felt the pressure. At the end of the day, it's a lazy bit of defence there, and Auckland were for a try, put them right back in the game. And I think with 10 minutes to go, they're a good chance.
Converted by Stacey Jones. 16 points to 12. So 4 in front for Cronulla, remembering that Auckland won by 4 in the first round at Ericsson.
Changing the point of attack. You can just see how many defenders he committed. There were 2 or 3 Sharks that believed that it was a knock-on. Good footwork from the big fella. Sidestepped himself once, I think, on the way through there. But managed to get through. A short period of time remaining in the game. I'm sure that Coach John Lang will feel that it's a long one. Nathan Long leaving the field for a short break. The big fella about to wind up.
Ali Lautiti, who scored that try, I know that Mark Graham, the Warriors coach, has an enormous rap on him. Just says that he's one of the most brilliant young athletes, all-round athletes he's seen. And if he really dedicates himself to the job, could be anything in the game. Hermanson to Lautiti again, and then to Nigel Wagner. They're 15 inside their own half, Auckland. Here comes Hermanson. Running it straight at Mitch Healy, who makes the tackle. A kick towards Colin Best. Takes it. Coming over his left shoulder. Then works with David Peachy. Gets on the outside of Wagner. Lautiti there with Wagner to put him over.
Bit of a head clash there between a couple of Warriors players. Luckily, one of them was wearing a headgear.
Matt Rogers draws the penalty against Nigel Wagner.
Well, just watch the way that Rogers did it as well. He ran straight into Wagner, I think it was. The referee had called him out. He made a beeline straight towards. There's the bump. Well, how's your jaw feeling? Unfortunately, the headgear doesn't cover that part of it. Rogers ran straight into him after he'd been called out and got the Sharks a penalty, and that's going to take a lot of pressure off them. Just about on the halfway line, they're going to be able to launch a serious attack.
And it's Mark Lang who takes it up for tackle number 1. Nick Graham showed it to Jason Stevens and elected to run himself, and is able to pick up some 14 metres. On tackle number 2, it's played. Now to Dykes. Switches it back on the inside to Andrew Pearce. That's 3 gone. They're up to the 20. Dykes again. Across field for Blaine Stanley. Then on to Sean Ryan.
Roll away now, John, roll away. That's good work.
Stanley onto the short side. Gets his pass away to Matty Rogers. Rogers plants it down.
Pass is forward to Matt Rogers.
Referee wants to check whether it was a forward pass to Rogers. Matt Rogers believes he's got it down fairly.
Well, we've become used to seeing the touch judges call them if they were forward. Wasn't much of a response from the touchy there. Oh, gee, I think he's in trouble with that one. But I'll tell you what, after that decision before, I think I'll abstain from voting in this one at the risk of ending up with an omelette on the face. That's gone forward.
Yeah, you couldn't make a decision with a lot of confidence, could you, after what we saw early on in the second half? But sure, I don't understand why the linesman could not have ruled on that one. But anyway,
maybe he wasn't close enough.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Decision coming from Eddie Ward. No try. One we agree on.
Well, Rogers there, you can see him objecting. He's basically having a go at the touch judge and saying, well, you were right next to me. Why didn't you call that? You saw it. And I think it wasn't much of a surprise because it really was very close. He was 3 or 4 metres behind, I guess, so it may have been a little bit difficult for him, but after the one in the first half, I don't think they got much to complain about.
He looked about as quick as me, that linesman. And that's saying something.
16-12, the Sharks clinging to a 4-point lead. 4-point lead that they desperately want to hold on to pick up a crucial 2 points. A game that they just have to win. John Simon.
Just watch for the involvement of Stacey Jones. He's got to try and link up perhaps with Logan Swan on the edge of the ruck. That's where they look to have some sort of combination.
Stacey Jones again. Looking for the runner to come off his shoulder. That runner was Matt Spence. He couldn't get the pass to him. Last is coming up. John Simon's kick. Driving it into open spaces. Matt Rogers dropping back for it. Beetham goes in to get him with Nigel Wagner. Dykes pushing the ball wide for Colin Best. Almost away Best. Miles got him just around the bootlaces.
Martin Lang. Pierce. Jason Stevens. Martin Lang going to the sideline with Nathan Long. He's back for just a short while, Nathan Long, but really struggling with that leg injury.
One area of the game that they just haven't managed to match their opponents tonight, John, is putting pressure on the kicker. No problems whatsoever on that occasion for Dykes to be able to pick up 50 metres.
They're just outside their own 20, the Warriors. Time running out for them inside the last 4 minutes. The Sharks in front by 4, 16-12. Simon to Jones, then to Jason Deeth. Simon, the wide pass. Now out to Swan. Logan Swan trying to fend off the defence. Stacey Jones. Chips. Well covered though.
Back up 6.
Brilliantly covered by Nick Graham, the hard-working lock forward from the Sharks. Probably doesn't get that many raps, Nick Graham, but he always puts in 100% effort and does the little things right like that.
Their heads are a little bit dropped at the moment. The Auckland team just watch for the Sharks at the moment. They love to drive the nail into the coffin.
Sean Ryan gets it to 25 metres out. Mitch Healy directing traffic. Goes back though for Matty Rogers. Nata Healy, one of the best bombers in the game. Puts it out towards the wing and Colin Best is able to go over Del Manuel, take it out of his clutches and score his second try. And that is the clincher. That will give them the 2 points that they had to take from this game.
Well, relief, I think, as much as anything on the faces of the Sharks players. They've been in one hell of a battle out here this evening. Wonderfully weighted kick. Could not be positioned any better. Just in the field of play. A great catch. Small fumble at the start for Best. But his control was good enough to seal this game.
Yes, how many times do we see this Cronulla crossfield kick? Mitch Healy, an absolute master of it. And this takes a lot of skill to be able to jump above the pack, catch the ball, and have the nous to go around and put it underneath the sticks for what I believe is a very well-deserved victory for the Cronulla side.
Matt Rogers, who's passed 1,000 points for the Sharks tonight, adds the extras. 22-12. They're safely home, and as Glenn Lazarus rightly said, they've had to do it the hard way because they've had their side wrecked by injury tonight, but they've gritted it out and they've come away with a well-deserved victory. A tough victory, but a crucial 2 points.
Well, you really can't be critical of the Warriors' defence there on that occasion. Not too much you can do to guard against a ball so perfectly weighted and positioned as that. Some relief, I guess, for the skipper this evening, despite his own personal pain. Be happy to see his teammates go a little bit closer towards ensuring a spot in the semi-finals.
And a little bit of a half smile from Johnny Lang. He'd be very pleased to get this victory tonight. Martin Lang to play it just on his own third.
John, I was going to say, just watching Martin Lang take that ball up again for the umpteenth time. I think that Cronulla play with 4 front rows. I think Mr. Beattie, Chris Beattie also could be classed as a front row. They've done a magnificent job tonight. The way that John Lang's rotated them, and every time they've gone out there, they've put nothing in but 100%. It's been a wonderful display.
Kick again for Colin Best to chase. Clinton Tupy has knocked that ball backwards, so everyone's onside. Gets back into the field of play, though, Tupy. Right on full time, referee boxing Jet Watt says that'll do us. 7 losses on the trot for Auckland. But they at least tonight did stand up and made a game of it against the Sharks. But the Sharks had to do it the hard way. Hard hit by injury to some of their key players from early on in the game, but they've got home by 22 points to 12.
10 points the margin in the end. I think it would be fairly safe to say that the Sharks players feel a little bit flattered by that, but that's the game that they needed going in to this hard period on the way home. They played extremely well. Matt Rogers, his involvement with Peachy was once again instrumental. I think it was the way that they managed to grind it out in some of the difficult situations that were presented to them this evening that would give their coaching staff the most heart of the evening. For the Warriors, well, not too much you can say. 7 losses in a row, you don't feel too good about it, but they can hold their heads up high. They went very well.
Yeah, I've got no doubt that if Cronulla are to go on and do some special things this year, they'll look back on this game as being probably a turning point in their season. A hard-fought win. Obviously, it shows the sign that there is a lot of spirit here at the club, and I think that this will put them in good stead for the last 3 games before the semi-finals. Auckland, well, I've got 2 words: discipline and consistency. Something that I think is a little bit lacking in the club at the moment. I think that discipline, as far as putting pressure on other people, other sides down in their own end, they just can't do it because their discipline allows sides to get out with penalties and so forth. And consistency they showed. I think that side that they put out there today is nearly the closest they can get to a full complement of players, nearly their best side that they put out there. And they've shown that they can actually compete, but they just don't have that consistency. They can't back it up week in, week out. And let's hope that for the future of the Auckland club, they can do that.
So full-time, the Sharks scoring 4 tries to Auckland's 2, winning by 22 points to 12 in front of a crowd of 10,635. Full-time, the Sharks 22, Auckland 12. On behalf of Glenn Lazarus and Wally Lewis, I'm John McCoy, bidding you good evening.